And welcome into your local election headquarters on KRK.com and Fox16.com. I am Mitch McCoy. It's so glad to have you along with us today. We are doing profile stories on all of the candidates running for the Little Rock Board of Directors. And we don't want to waste any time. We want to get straight to our first story here. We see the signs behind you, but first, introduce yourself and let us know who you are.
Hello, my name is Leron McAdoo, and of course, I'm running for City Board Position 9, and I'm an educator. As a matter of fact, I'm on my prep period right now at school. So,
Okay.
uh, yes, and after 26 years of being an educator, I have had to speak for children in court cases. I've been called by parents to go find their runaway child. Um, I've had to refer children to mental and drug addiction facilities. And I've written recommendations for college and jobs. And I've provided my venue for young entrepreneurs. So I've seen all of Little Rock being an educator for the past 26 years. I've not just seen one class, one socioeconomic, one race. I've seen every one that's here because they have children and their children have come through. So I see the problems and I see the bright side of Little Rock.
So, and we don't want to waste any time. We want to get straight to these questions. 10 questions with the candidates. These questions are packed loaded here, so we don't want to waste any time. Crime in Little Rock has been an issue for years. What is your opinion on the relationship between the Little Rock Police Department and the community? What ideas do you have to improve community policing? And how should the crime rate be addressed?
Well, I'm someone who has been victimized by the police and brutalized by the police. So I have that perspective. And I also have been someone who, in addition to protesting against them, have actually had to defend them a few times. And in talking to police officers in the city, they see that there needs to be two types of reform. One internally, in terms of the nepotism and hierarchy established by certain entities within the department, and externally, they see that uh, the community relations is not good in some communities because it's more of a militarized presence in some neighborhoods. So uh, I think that the biggest thing I got out of talking to actual officers and being friends with policemen and police officers is the fact that they said the programs are in place. They need to be supported. The programs are in place. They need to be funded. So we have what we need, is what I heard from a lot of people. We just need to follow the protocols that are actually set in place and support the programs that are already there.
So, and you were talking a little bit about what has become a very public issue related to the nepotism that has been discussed very frequently here over the last couple of months. So you really walked right into my next question. And there does seem to be some kind of an apparent discord with inside the Little Rock Police Department. The police chief facing multiple lawsuits from current and former city employees. The police chief himself, in his individual capacity, is suing Little Rock employees over civil rights violations. How do you plan on addressing these apparent issues with inside the city's police department?
Well, once again, I think that if protocols are truly set in place and there is a sense of transparency put in regards to those protocols, and the citizens actually see what's going on, I think that is the first thing that needs to happen. Everything that has been done in the dark needs to be put to the light. I think that um, if we actually know what's going on, then we can address those with a clear and presence in our understanding so that we can actually deal with the issues, you know.
The board's at-large positions have been a hot topic for some time now. Do you believe the board should be restructured?
Well, I believe that should be put before the people. I believe that the will of the people should be heard. I think that there is a history of at-large positions not being favorable to certain demographics, and that's just been the reality of that position. So, uh, if if that continues to be the case, then I think that should be put before the people, because at the end of the day, it's about what will make Little Rock better, not what will stack the cards on one side or the other.
So you're saying that this should be some kind of an election to get rid of the at-large positions?
That's possibly the case. I do believe that, uh, like a lot of things, uh, there just needs to be some transparency and some understanding as to what those positions have been and what we wish and think those positions should be. And I think there was conversation about that in terms of making them not citywide, but over a few zones at a time, and restructuring it that way. So there has been conversation long before the question was asked of me. And so I think that, again, it needs to be some transparency in what the position is and how we can move forward productively for the city of Little Rock.
Okay. So, and you were talking a little bit about transparency. We've heard that word thrown out a lot. Some board members have been vocal in recent months about a disconnect or an apparent disconnect between the mayor's office and some members of the board. How do you plan on working with the executive office but still hold the executive leadership accountable?
Well, my North Star is Little Rock. It's not any individual. It's not any individual member. It's the citizens of Little Rock, the community themselves. They are the ones that I am looking toward. Those are the ones that I am uh, looking up for their interests. So uh, my North Star is, where are the citizens on these issues? Where do they stand? What do they want to have accomplished? How do they want that relationship to be?
Some would say that the city has taken a significant effort to revitalize neighborhoods. Um, uh, how would you further those efforts? Do you agree with that statement?
Well, revitalize, revitalizing, or the revitalization of the neighborhoods. I think what has to happen is it needs to be spread across the city. I think that efforts have been targeted, but not necessarily targeted to the places of most hurt and most need of repair and maintenance. So I know for a fact there's a park in my neighborhood that is never open. It's always gated. And so when you have situations like that, um, you understand, and when you can easily drive across town to another neighborhood and have access to that park or that facility,
Mhm.
that becomes a problem.
So, some people have voiced concerns about a racial divide, um, specifically using I 630 as a reference. This is something we've heard for years in this city, between poor neighborhoods, middle class, and upper class neighborhoods. What part will you have to help unite this city?
Well, again, I think I am a fan, as you can tell, of transparency and of communication, being someone who has done diversity training and have been trained myself in the field of diversity and inclusion. So I believe that those conversations have to happen. Based on that training, uh, those conversations are hard. Those conversations uh, will have a very un, unsettling start to them, and it cannot proceed without that unsettling start, because that's where the truths come out. That's where people's realities come out. And so everybody has to claim their place in that reality before we can even move forward.
So, what would you do to improve the quality of life for every citizen?
Well, again, I believe that we are as good as our worst neighborhood. So if our worst neighborhood has an A school, then uh, we're doing pretty good. If our worst neighborhood has a functional park, I think we're doing pretty good. If our worst neighborhood has affordable housing and uh, places where people can congregate, then I think we're doing pretty good. So I think we put the resources where the hurt is. Um, it if if every citizen feels like they're in a safe place and a place that they want to live, then I believe that all of Little Rock rises. But only one neighborhood rising does not raise Little Rock.
So really putting more resources in um, neighborhoods across the city would be your answer, right? Community resources.
Put the resources where the hurt is. Put the resources where the uh, the blight is. Put the resources where the the safety issues are. Put the resources in the place and the proper resources.
Hmm.
And it's not necessarily just throwing money. By resources, I mean wraparound services. I mean uh, uh, just more than maintenance. I mean more than just policemen. I mean more than just somebody coming in and building a a community. I mean, realtors. I mean, you have to have full investment and you have to put the resources to allow the community in those places to invest and be proud of that particular area in Little Rock.
Well, if elected, your term would consist of rebuilding the city's economy after the COVID-19 global health pandemic. Many businesses have been forced to close. What kind of experience do you have to ensure Little Rock not only bounces back, but grows to new height?
Well, the first thing that will assure that is that we approach this health thing correctly. You can recover from economics, you can recover from academics, but you can't recover from death. So if we do not have a healthy workforce, then we can't get anything else. You know, we have to put the priority on health. It's not about these other things. We can plan and plot and strategize as to where we want to go with those things, but until we remedy the health issue, there will be an afterwards. But what type of workforce will we have if we don't put place things in place now that will allow for that workforce to be healthy? You already have the issue of uh, underlying conditions within the population that has had COVID. So, how valuable will that work be if they can't actually be part of the workforce? So, we have to take care of this as a priority.
Well, in recent years, the city announced a financial struggle which caused layoffs and park closures. If elected, how will you ensure the city avoids future layoffs and other closures?
Well, I think we have to have things assessed so that we can actually put the right personnel in, the right number of personnel in, because industries change and we have to follow those industries where they go. We, during this pandemic, have seen how the online industry has bloomed and blossomed and blown up. And so we have to be preparing the workforce. As an educator, the preparation has to be done at levels right now in the schools, in the trainings, in those apprenticeship programs. They have to be done now so that we prepare a workforce for tomorrow. We prepare the people that will be ready to go into those jobs in the future.
Well, thank you so much for your time today. We certainly appreciate it.
Yes, sir. Thank you for the opportunity.
Thank you. And just a reminder, Election Day is November 3rd. KRK.com, Fox16.com, your local election headquarters through the election. Have a good afternoon.